You are listening to American Wag, where the mind is respected and the truth is sometimes detected. I'm wearing 3 masks this morning. I'm wearing my NASA shirt. I'm wearing my CIA hat. I'm wearing my scholarly glasses. The only thing I'm missing is my cross and my wedding ring. I don't have my watch on either. So those are other things that I use to indicate an outward sign of an inward commitment. But I'm wearing the CIA hat because these days I'm on the verge of, well, what's going on is at age 61 and a half and 2/3. I have to face the fact that I haven't done any serious exercise in 6 months. So basically, after Halloween, I kind of let it go, and at the moment, I am 6 pounds over my required weight and 16 pounds over my desired weight. So I need to learn how to cut weight, and that's going to take a lot of discipline. So now I'm listening to the discipline books. I've just finished Scars and Stripes by Tim Kennedy, and it reminds me of how I was one of those original EDC sheepdogs, and I laugh about it now because I can remember the first time I went to the Galleria and to the high-end watch shop, and I first learned about Bell and Ross, and they made instrument watches, and I was always in there thinking about the day that I could afford one of those magnificent timepieces, and I was just getting into EDC. I was just starting to spend money on knives. And anybody who's had the EDC bug can tell you it's compelling as hell. It's addictive. And I was an ardent follower of Nut and Fancy. And Nut and Fancy is the king of EDC, of shooting and of gun reviews and survival techniques and all that stuff. And I was going shooting regularly with my buddies. We never had a name for our group. There's 4 of us, but we would go up to Holzer Canyon and do 500 rounds a month at the very least. And then we did our own loads, and we had a ball for several years. And I was doing my circuit training at the time. And so from the advent of that, when I started off at something like 225, the first years or two, I never got down to 200. And then it wasn't until, my second go round, there's always something that interrupts my ability to care for myself, whether it's a change of employment, so benefits go around or can't afford to go to gyms, or my schedule changes so that I can't go to gyms or whatever. So this is probably going to be my 4th or 5th iteration on self-care. And so I'm about to crank that up again. And this time I really, really want to get down to 185, which I haven't been 185 since 2003. In 2003. So that's 20 years ago when I was at what was basically my ideal weight, or what I think my ideal weight should be, considering the fact that certainly in 1991, when I turned 30, I was about 167. And I thought I was skinny at the time, and I wanted to bulk up. So anyway, that's That's 40 pounds ago. And I don't know if I will ever get down to that again while still having any muscle tone. I don't know. Could be, could be. But it has been the theme of military discipline that has helped me decide that I'm going to get in shape. And I've never done it for vanity. Although for a short period of time, I admitted that I would do it for vanity. But that's, again, in the past 6 or 7 years. But I never felt like, I never went to the gym with a buddy knowing that my gym buddies were like, oh man, you're going to have some good arms. The babes are going to love you. I couldn't sustain that motivation. It was only when I got into the mindset of first responder with EDC, when I went to the CERT and took the CERT course, when I went through the Citizens Police Academy, when I went through the Citizens FBI Academy, when I certified myself with the Boy Scouts, that it reminded me of being a big brother, and that my job is to protect and serve. And so when you know that you can protect and serve, when you have an understanding of what an EMT does, when you have an understanding of the rules of engagement for a police officer dealing with deadly force situations, and the escalation procedures that you can take legally in terms of use of force, then it's something that you can give more of yourself to, or at least for me. All right, I never felt the responsibility until I really learned the responsibility of shooting a pistol or shooting a rifle, just shooting, right? And I never felt that I needed to kick anybody's ass. And so, yeah, I know that I could do that if I had Krav Maga or Salat or whatever. But I wanted to use Aikido. I was always an Aikido head, which is use the opponent's energy against them, but I didn't want to be a striker. It was like, oh, that's just aggression. And I didn't learn until much later in my life how I could use this body. What's my body for? Oh, you can use your body to protect and serve other people. Well, I'm not a cop. That doesn't matter. You can be a sheepdog. And it clicked. I said, oh, that's what I've been all my life, as a big brother. But I could be intimidating in a way, and it was me and my brothers that helped me be a big brother. And I felt like I would just be a shield. I didn't think I'd be a sword and a shield. And so that's what I always did. I always got between combatants. I always had that instinct to break up fights, but not to be a finisher, right? Not to take somebody out proactively or even reactively. It was just like, okay, calm down. And I have command voice because it was used on me and I know what it sounds like, but never wanted to do that. And now, as a mature person, not quite, not a grandfather yet, but still a mature dad, I feel the responsibility. I know that if somebody like me is not doing it, it may not be being done right. And I know that with all the prejudices that people have against the intelligence services, the armed forces, the first responders, I don't think you're just a conservative, oppressor, whatever that madness. I can't calculate the dimension of wrongness. Again, because I am just being a big brother. So now I can say credibly that I want to have this purpose with my body. Not just for self-defense, but for being someone behind whom others who are weaker can hide. I can protect people. And I took that a lot more serious when I was doing my shooting on a regular basis. And so now I just finished reading the Tim Kennedy book, and it just reminded me of all of this stuff. What an irascible asshole. And of course, there are parallels. When you are a big brother and you're a man's man, a boy's boy, you know the kinds of crap that kids get into, and you understand the ego, and you understand something. I guess I will use the term tonic masculinity. You know what it's like to be the man that other men want to be like. And you understand what it's like to be part of a team effort. What you have to understand, and this is interesting because I'll tell you this. A lot of people remember Sanyika Shakur. And Sanyika Shakur was, he got into Islam or something like Islam, where he was Monster Cody. And Monster Cody was the leader of some fraction of the Crips in Los Angeles. And as a black figure during the early days of the internet, I received a copy of Sanyika Shakur's manuscript. Was sent to me by his wife. And it's somewhere in my garage. I don't know where. But I read it and I got the gist of it. And the gist of it is the psychological aspect of breaking down young boys and giving them a model to be men. And there's always that two-step process of breaking and shaping. And you can't have one without the other. You have to let go of your ego to accept your place on this team that's going to try to achieve some objective, to give you some purpose, to let you be more selfless than you ordinarily would be. And sometimes that takes breaking of the self or chipping an edge away on what you might think is unchippable. But everybody can be affected that way. And the point is to break down the individual and forge them as part of a team. And this is something that's deeply fundamental to manhood, because none of us know exactly how we're going to do it. Some of us figure it out. I don't know. Maybe. And there are people who are natural leaders. But when you are a natural leader, you know that you're doing something that other people are not doing. And part of that is breaking down a person who keeps saying no and I can't and I'm limited, and giving them the confidence to know that they can, and being their backup, being behind them, and say, I'm gonna die with you on this hill, brother. And I think it's relatively easier if you're a big brother, and I am. So I am reminding myself of this martial aspect of my life, because when I felt that I definitely understood the technology in computer science to make a living, a good living. And then I figured out the arts and politics enough to be published. And I got on NPR. And so I said, okay, I understand the arts, I understand science. What did I not learn? What did they not teach me? And I'm like, oh snap, I didn't go to one of the academies, and I know my son's just taking the ASVAB, and he's scoring high enough to be a submariner. So I'm like, oh yeah, my father was a Marine, my boy's in the Navy. I could have done that too. Why didn't I do that? And it's because, I wanted to be a scientist, because I wanted to be what I am. And this didn't involve me putting A and B together to figure out that I actually wanted to serve my country and be a protector and put my body to use in that particular manner. So when I figured that out, I said, oh, sheepdog, I can do that. I can do that. So that's kind of where my head is at right now in thinking about getting back into shape, dealing with, my shortcomings, my health shortcomings, and demonstrating that I can get back into shape, maybe better shape than I've been in 20 years, maybe better than that. And I think I can do it in the context of sheepdoggery or just ego. It's just as good. I mean, the muscles don't know any difference. They just know that they're being strained, and then they'll have to be anti-fragile and get stronger. But I do want to live a long time, and I do want to be able to protect and serve mentally. So that means I have to do certain things physically, and I can't be pathetic in that regard. And my self-regard is swinging back around to that. Like I said, it's been 6 months, and I'm tired of being as many pounds overweight as I am, and I have to apply discipline to my life, and that's what I'm going to do. I've already decided. But also I wanted to share that because I'm on record with a video that I made like 7 years ago to say, hey, that was somewhat embarrassing, me doing sit-ups on camera from the point of view of you're looking up my pants, my shorts. But I think that's about it. What other books am I reading? I'm reading spy thrillers. There's a new Mick Herron out there. And then ChatGPT showed me some authors that I hadn't known before. And so I'm looking again at those tangential to Ian Banks' culture. And I'm thinking about cultures. I call them tribes, but they're not tribal. They're modern, because tribes are not hierarchical. They're autonomous. That people call autonomous TAZ, something autonomous zone, temporary autonomous zones, or something like that. But anyway, I'm planning on re-entering the sheepdog tribe, and I'm gonna look for some people to work out with around here, and that's what I'm gonna do. Gonna get my diet into shape. And I'm going to do sit-ups. So, that's all there is right there. Talk to you later.